Okay, there's 2 minutes left in this session and we're in the drop zone. We need a quick... Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves once again of our top three. Daniel, Oscar Piastri and George Russell. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix. Welcome to Budapest once again for another round of Formula One action. Historically, a good race for first-time victories, with Button, Hill, Alonso and Heikki Kovalainen all reaching the top step of the podium for the very first time right here. We're northeast of Budapest for today's race at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Daniel lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Norris, Leclerc, Albon, Yuri Vips, Ocon, Doohan, Tsunoda, Teo Pourchaire, Drugovich, Hauger, Ricciardo, Liam Lawson, Sargent, Gasly, Joe, Magnussen, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Daniel. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
They've been avoiding mistakes and have had solid pace, so it's been a good season so far, but whether they can keep that up long-term remains to be seen.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. The question I'm asking is which teams have got it right and which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Got a lot of spare energy, okay to use your overtake button. Job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far. Okay, start actively conserving fuel, please, or we won't be finishing today. You need to be lifting off the throttle as you approach a corner. Let the drag slow you down a bit before you start active braking. Okay, safety car deployed, safety car's been deployed. Watch your delta, make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack. Okay, the officials have deployed the safety car due to multiple... There's a good chance to change our strategy for the rest of the Grand Prix if we want to. Good luck out there. Again. Great work, that's a new fastest lap of the race. pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. The rain's getting worse, be very careful. Oscar's coming in for his stop now. There's a new strategy available on the MFD. Got that confirmed. The rain's getting lighter now, but it's going to take a while for the track to dry out. Okay, full wet seems to be the fastest tyre for now.
And away we go. No problems, really smooth. McLaren will no doubt be very happy with that.
Okay, some information on Piastri. They seem to have an issue. I'm afraid you've been given a time penalty for that last incident, mate. So the rain's easing off a bit, but the track is still going to be wet for a while. Be careful.
Their belts. Well done to the whole team at Mercedes. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. Let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Lando Norris takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders, who lose ground at the top of the table. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.
The contract renewal window has opened. We can try and renegotiate for a better deal with our current team, or approach someone else. Great. They're happy to enter into negotiations with us.